Hello, I am Brian Fox. This is my channel. I hate rock music, and this is another video, like the Poppers video, where the band managed to put out two albums, in this case 68 and 69 instead of 67 and 68, and the records are so different, and I just can't imagine that people that were fans of the band when the first album came out stuck with them through the second album. And in this case, it's definitely even more extreme than the Poppers video I just did. And that's the band called Time. T period I period M period E period, which stands for Trust in Men Everywhere. It's a very interesting name. I'm sure it would be controversial in these days. But they came out of L.A., got signed to Liberty Records, put out these two albums. The first one, Time, in 1968, and it had a really cool cellophane, clear cellophane cover, so you could see the band picture through this cellophane window in the front cover, and then you open it up. It's really cool. And so the Liberty Records obviously was really promoting the band to invest kind of money to do a cover like that. And then in 1969 they put out an album called Smooth Ball, and wow, just like night and day. So let's get into the band a little bit. So when they first started, they were Larry Byram on guitar, Nick St. Nicholas on bass, Bill Richardson on guitar, and Steve Rumpf on drums. And Nick St. Nicholas was in the early version of Steppenwolf called Sparrow when they were in Toronto. And then, of course, he rejoined Steppenwolf after he left Time in 1968. And then Larry Byram, the guitar player, also ended up joining Steppenwolf in 1970. So Larry Byram is an amazing guitar player that's on the Steppenwolf albums Monster, Live, um, and then Steppenwolf 7. Incredible guitar work. He's got a very signature sound, and a lot of that tone and those particular articulations he does are very present on the Time records, particularly Smooth Ball. And so that first record with Nick St. Nicholas and Steve Rumpf is pretty straightforward, like the Poppers' first record. It's very straightforward, pretty much your classic 60s kind of groovy. It's very groovy, very pleasant, pretty easygoing, nothing too crazy. There's some fuzz leads on it here and there just to make it timely and edgy, but most of the singing is very low key, a lot of great harmonies. I listen to the record now, and it's pretty pleasant. It's not one of my favorite '60s records, but it has everything going for it for an album recorded in '67, released in '68. Decent arrangements, good playing. It's recorded really well. The vocals are nice. The songs are very sweet and naive, and the lyrics are kind of silly sometimes. But it's a good listen. I know a lot of people are kind of getting into more of those kind of what I consider mundane '60s records because people are really grooving on that sound now, and that's fine and good. But boy, the real meat and potatoes is when Steve Rumpf and Nick St. Nicholas left, and they brought in Paul Couchois and Richard Tepe and on bass and drums. So a whole new rhythm section, but the same two guitar players. And Smooth Ball is a monster. The more I listen to that record over the years, the more I think it's pretty great. In some ways, it kind of reminds me of Blue Cheer. It's got that similar kind of a recorded quality. It's pretty dense and noisy and thick and sludgy, and um, and it gets really heavy, and like really heavy, and for 1969. But it's kind of got that '60s heavy sound, not like the big massive riffs like we came to expect from heavy bands in the '70s. Although there's some pretty big, thick, massive riffs on the Smooth Ball record, particularly when you get to side two. There's four songs on side two that wrap up the record. Um, the last song is the title of the song, Trust in Men Everywhere, and it's just gorgeous. Um, the lead singer actually reminds me of Robin Zander when he's singing just solo, and I kind of feel it makes me feel like he was really holding out on us on the rest of the record because he's got an incredible voice on that last song. But the last four songs are "Do You Feel It," "Flowers," um, "Come Morning," and then "Trust in Men Everywhere," and that's a four-song knockout punch, including the song "Morning Come," which has extended guitar solo on it. It's a pretty long song. I think it's 6, 7 minutes long, and it's got a lot of great Larry Byram guitar work. And another thing I noted too, a lot of times with these bands is a lot of the musicians really exponentially grow from year to year. You know, we're in a time now where people are really good right off the bat, and then they continue to be good and record after record. They pretty much sound by themselves, but these bands back then, the difference between how Larry Byram sounded in his first San Diego garage band, Hard Times, and then 3 years later, he shows up on the first Time record where it could be just about anybody. And then you get to Smooth Ball 1 year later, and he's a total psychedelic hard rock monster. And then by the time he gets to Steppenwolf a year after that, he's a totally top of the line, um, totally a great guitar player. In fact, after he left Steppenwolf, he ended up forming a very easygoing rock band called Rachel that had two albums, I think, on ABC. I can't remember, but they didn't go anywhere. And then he spent the next couple of decades playing with all the major country and dance artists, doing session guitar work. And his guitar work with Steppenwolf was top of the line. One of my favorite guitar players of that period. So anyway, wow, Time. Again, I can't believe anybody that got that first record and became a big fan um, was able to choke down what that band turned into a year later. And I would love to hear live tapes of Time in 1969 because I'm serious. That stuff on side two is super heavy. And as I've listened to the record, I got both of them in cutouts again for about 50 cents or a buck a piece back in about 1970, 71. And I wasn't really into the first one that much. And the second one was okay. I didn't give it a real close listen. But over the last several decades, I've come to appreciate Smooth Ball as definitely a hard rock psychedelic classic of American hard rock from the 60s. And it's got tinges of psychedelia on it still for sure, but it's pretty forward looking. And even the rest of the record's pretty hard hitting. The rest of the record's got more 60s elements to it, but by the time they get to that second side, they're definitely looking forward to the 70s. So if you want to dig deeper, there's actually a whole album by Larry Byram's first band, Hard Times. It came out World Pacific Records in 1967, called Blue Blind. And so anyway, wow. If you like that kind of groovy 60s, not quite sunshine pop, but just easy going pop with naive lyrics, then you're going to enjoy the first record. It's very well crafted, um, smartly put together for the time, a decent amount of variety. But for my usual fans, definitely check out Smooth Ball. It really packs a wallop and is now definitely one of my favorite 60s records. So as usual, I'll post both these Time records below, links. Check them out, see what you think. And by the time you get to Smooth Ball, I definitely recommend a Bong Toke or two. So there you have it. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching. I Hate Rock Music.